Kenya's retail sector ranks among the 6 priority sectors projected to make up the largest part of the country's gross domestic product in the next 13 years. In 2016, the sector expanded by 13%, hitting an all-time high spending of 1.8 trillion shillings, according to a February 2017 survey conducted by Procter & Gamble. In the Vision 2030 Medium-Term Plan 2013-2017, the sector is to account for 50% of Kenya's formal employment. Last year, an Oxford business class held that Kenya's retail sector is still among the most attractive for long-term investors in sub-Saharan Africa.
There's a very big opportunity right here.
There is going to be a growing middle class and more aspirational customers.
But a closer look at the recent trends characterizing Kenya's retail sector reveals mixed fortunes. Nakumatt Holdings and Uchumi Supermarkets, 2 of the sector's biggest players, are struggling to stay afloat. Nakumatt, a retail jumbo that was once Kenya's biggest by branch network, is suffocating under a debt load of over 30 billion shillings. It has sent home a significant number of its staff and shut over half of its branches.
You can never say never.
About 6 months ago, Andrew Dixon, an English import, was brought in to help save the jumbo. When I spoke to him soon after being hired as the chief marketing officer, on his in-tray were plans to secure a strategic investor to help arrest Nakumatt's well-known deficiency.
What is it suffering from?
I think it's a financial challenge that a number of events have come together, a bit like a perfect storm. They've come together and they've accumulated in the position that we currently have and that we're currently working through.
Back then, he was determined to bring Nakumatt back to its feet.
We will turn this business around, and we will once again become the most loved brand in Kenya.
That aspiration is yet to come to pass, with Nakumatt still hunting for the investor who should plug in at least 7.5 billion shillings as remedy for its ailment. Experts reckon this will remain a long wait.
Telling us that a private equity investor is about to give them $75 million. I mean, this has got to be Santa Claus, because who else is going to do that? You know, put in 75 million, 150, and you've got a business which is not making the income. I don't know anybody who's thinking that way.
Nakumatt's situation got worse mid-December when industry regulator Competition Authority of Kenya rejected a proposed merger between them and Kenya's second biggest store, Tuskys. CAK held that the merger application was done under the wrong clause of the antitrust law. The merger sought to allow Tuskys take over management at Nakumatt, extend loans and offer guarantees to the struggling retailer. Tuskys isn't the only company troubled by Nakumatt's woes. Its struggles also caught the attention of erstwhile competitor Naivas, which showed willingness to help.
And we don't even mind being called upon to also be part and parcel of the various entities trying to drive that forward on the same.
Ever since, nothing much has been forthcoming, and now the Nakumatt ship is sinking deeper. It has shut down 3 of its iconic branches in Nairobi, including the Junction and Lifestyle Mall stores. It currently has City Hall as the only operational outlet within the CBD. This hit proved too much for Dixon, who opted out in a huff.
So it was simply the investor that they were expecting didn't come in, and therefore it was impossible for me to execute without that money.
Dixon in mid-December joined yet another struggling retailer, Uchumi Supermarkets, this time round as the Chief Operations Officer. His entry into Uchumi coincided with the exit of the CEO Julius Kipng'etich, thus casting lots of doubt on the chain's much-awaited turnaround plan. Dr. Kipng'etich, whose resignation surprised many, joined the retailer in August 2015 in what was billed as a swift turnaround mission. Under Kipng'etich, the retailer reduced their loss-making streak by 39% in the 2017 full-year financials to 1.7 billion shillings.
He came in originally to establish a strategy for a turnaround of Uchumi, which included bringing in government and investor funding. He's done that.
and he's now decided that he's best placed to hand over to more experienced retailers like myself to fulfil the strategy that he developed originally.
Dixon came in at a time when shelves in most of Uchumi's branches were still empty.
What does that make you feel? This was once a giant.
Well, it's going to be a giant that's returning. Over the next few days we'll be restocking our shelves across our stores, so these empty shelves will very soon be full, and we'll be inviting our customers back to the excitement and delight of shopping at Uchumi.
True to his word, Uchumi was restocked shortly before the festive season. Slightly over 200 million shillings was spent in the exercise that supplied 19 of the retailer's 20 branches. But the greatest task ahead for Dixon and his Chief Finance Officer and Acting CEO Ahmed Mohammed is to rope in the much-awaited strategic investor. Uchumi is looking at securing at least 3.5 billion shillings from this potential investor. Dixon says they are just about to close that deal.
Suffice to say that we have a very interested party who is eager to progress with us, and I think the delay has only been because of some uncertainty around the prolonged electioneering periods and things like that, which for any investor has left some uncertainty. Now that's all behind us, they're very keen to progress and move forward, and that's great for the Uchumi brand.
The government is also expected to pump an additional 700 million shillings into Uchumi. Many are waiting to see how these moves will pan out for the once listed retailer. Unlike with Nakumatt, Dixon is more optimistic in his stint at Uchumi, Kenya's oldest retailer that's partly government-owned.
With the inward support of the government, we are now able to bring in additional financial investors and to rebuild the organisation. And that's something that Nakumatt weren't able to do, but Uchumi is able to do and is doing.
Despite a robust economic growth, mushrooming of shopping malls, rapid expansion among retail brands and an expanding middle class with improved spending power, experts insist that the picture isn't as rosy as it appears for these supermarkets.
There are two different things. There's foot traffic, the number of people going through a mall, and then there's spend. And what my personal anecdotal evidence is, there's a lot of foot traffic in some of these places, but there's no spending going on.
Reduced spending is among the 4 factors listed in the 2017 Nielsen Africa Prospect Report, and which make it difficult for retailers to operate in the region. Then there's rapid branch expansion, which experts warn is detrimental to the stability and growth of retailers, most of whom are anchor tenants in many of the country's mall establishments.
He's in Garden City, he's waiting for his footfall to pick up there. He has to open in the hub, so now he's spending all that money opening in the hub, and then Two Rivers is opening, and it's just, he hasn't quite managed to get to where he wants to be in terms of cash flow, and he has to open another one and another one. I think that's the biggest challenge that we're facing, it's that cash flow issue.
But even as the situation proves tough for some chains, for other brands things are looking up. For instance, Naivas, Kenya's number 3 retailer, opened 6 new stores in 2017, 3 out of which are offering a 24-hour services.
We are actually doing a proper market survey and looking at the consumption habits of a certain geographical location, doing proper customer insights, doing and being able to actually look at how well served the market is.
According to industry data, traditional trade accounts for 71% of the retail market, with modern trade, or basically the business approach, for most of the established retail brands standing at 29%. With this, Kimani reckons there's plenty of room for more players and even exponential growth amongst them.
We have an opportunity to double the number of all the modern trade stores, your Nakumatt, Naivas's, Carrefour's, Tuskys and all that, by 3 and still not have completed the whole universe. So there is a very big opportunity for the market players. The only thing is that it has to go in a disciplined manner so that we don't end up cannibalizing on each other.
Evidently so, Kenya's retail market has in the recent years attracted global supermarkets, including French-owned Carrefour. Carrefour is the world's second largest retailer by revenue after Walmart of the US. The brand has 3 stores located at the hub in Karen, Two Rivers Mall in Kiambu and at the Thika Road Mall. Carrefour will soon open their fourth branch at the Junction Mall, where they've taken over Nakumatt's space. Carrefour's management wasn't available for an interview. South African Massmart, which operates under the Game Stores brand, has also set up in town. Their second store will open this year at the Waterfront Mall in Karen, with the first one being hosted at the Garden City Mall. Botswana retailer Choppies entered the Kenyan market in 2016 by taking over the famous Ukwala supermarket stores. This trend, many believe, signals a healthy growth for the sector, with the consumer as the overall winner.
And I think what any new retailer will do is come in, as Carrefour have done, and try and find the best locations and build the biggest stores they can to try and dominate that local marketplace.
We are going to improve and learn from how the international players are doing. I'm sure they're also learning some of the tricks and ways of how to do retail business in the country. But it's not going to be an easy ride for them. That I can assure you. Why? It's not going to be an easy ride because we also have actually learned our customer, but we know our customer better. While
Nakumatt Sanduchomi's Mayo could easily be traced to poor corporate governance, pilferage is also partly to blame. Shrinkage, or simply loss by way of waste or theft, costs retailers between 2 and 3% of their revenue annually. That's about 1.8 billion shillings, going by Nakumatt's 70 billion shillings yearly gross revenue estimates at its peak, or 800 million bob, of Naiva's estimated annual revenue of 32 billion shillings. Most thefts in supermarkets are said to be inside jobs perpetrated by both junior and senior staff.
With that shrinkage, you'll bring down a company. However small it looks like, it's a very big problem we have in this country.
You have been a victim of shrinkage. Perhaps what's your most memorable incident and how much did you lose?
No, we actually lost 40 million in one event, whereby there was a clear collusion and we had people arrested, went to court, and bingo, they were released even after being found guilty by the courts.
This is now threatening not only the margins but also the future of supermarkets. Another default challenge for these traditional retailers lies in technology, which is now fueling the growth of online shopping platforms. Experts estimate that the online market will be worth 50 billion shillings in 2018, rendering the future of supermarkets grimmer.
But I think we're going to see much more e-commerce, and I think people are underestimating the threat from e-commerce.
While many believe that the developments in the retail sector are ways of the market correcting itself, some experts remain wary of the trickle-down effect should the sector continue to decline. If the retail sector is unable to absorb the goods that are being produced locally due to cash flow restraints, this, the Association of Manufacturers holds, will spell doom to an already shrinking local industry. Once local industries hit, unemployment rates skyrocket, supply chains then weaken, causing small and micro businesses to shut down. Then import inflows will increase and exports will be curtailed because businesses will be operating at diminished capacity. Then the economy will give in and continue on a downward trajectory, and the overall quality of life for many Kenyans will eventually be affected.
So I think everybody's learnt from this process, and as a result everybody will come out stronger and more buoyant.
Patrick, Igunza, Citizen TV.